Hello, welcome to the Villages, Florida. My name is David. I'm a realtor with Florida Realty Investments, and I can be reached at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. Every week, we take a look at what's happening in the real estate market generally and in the villages specifically. We are introducing new charts and graphs all the time. I think you'll find the show to be quite a good overview of what's happening in this market. We also break things down by region so you can get some sense as to whether the northern part of the villages is more expensive or has more activity versus the south or the middle north, middle south. In every case, we'll provide data as to what the median sized house is, what the median price per square foot is. So we have a lot to get to. Let's get started. As always, we start by taking a look at interest rates, specifically the yield on the government 10-year note. Those of you who follow the channel know that this yield most closely tracks the mortgage rate. And as you can see, the rate has been dropping for the last several weeks. The 10-year rate reached almost 5%, and mortgage rates 8. It's dropped to around 4.3%. So you would imagine that mortgage rates are currently hovering around 7.25, 7.5. Let's take a look now at what's happening in the villages specifically. We're going to start by looking at all of the listings currently available for sale in the villages, and we're going to look at them a number of different ways. We'll break it down by region. I'll show you the regions before we get to that. But first, let's take a look at all listings, and you can see how many there have been going back close to 2 years. Currently, there are 352 listings, the same as last week when there were 352. The same week a year ago, there were 273 listings. Prices for homes in the villages range from 162,500 to just under $2.6 million. We're going to keep looking at all of the listings in the villages before we break things down by region. Here we're looking at what the median listing price is for all listings in the villages. Currently, it's $260.20, down very slightly from the 260.74 of last week and down very slightly from the 271.12 of the same week a year ago. Here we look at how long homes have been on the market. Let me repeat, I will be breaking this all down by the individual regions, but for now we're just looking at the trend. And we can see that for last week, the median time on the market for all listings has increased to 62 days. This is the highest we've seen since we started doing this, up from 60 days last week and up from the 45 days that was in effect the same week a year ago. And one more look at listings before we break things down by region. Here we're looking at how many listings have been on the market for 100 days or longer. 80 of the 352 listings meet that criteria, which is 23% of all listings, about the same as the 22% of the previous week. Now we're going to break down the listings by region, but before we do, let me show you this map. This shows us every single listing currently available in the villages. The size of the circle represents the size of the home in square feet, and the color of the circle represents the price per square foot. The larger the circle, the bigger the home. The darker the circle, the less per square foot. Now that we've seen that, let me show you the different regions of the villages as I've broken them down. I'm going to consider this region the north. It's bounded on the north by Highway 42 and on the south by 466, and encompasses the area east of 441, which is the Spanish Springs area. I'm calling this area the middle north. It's bounded on the north by 466 and on the south by 466A. This is the area that I'm calling the Middle South. It's bounded by 466A on the north and by 44 on the south. And the south is everything south of 44. Keep these regions in mind as we look at the breakdown by geographic region. I decided to use north, middle south, and south to differentiate four major areas here in the villages. So here's the breakdown by region. We're looking at all listings. You can see all regions on the right, north, middle, south, and south to the left. What you're looking at is how many properties are available in each region. For example, the north has 175 out of the 351 total listings, the median size of all listings in each area, and the median price for the properties for sale in each area. The totality of the villages has a median price of $399. You can see how many properties are available in each price segment in each area. Here we can analyze how many properties are available in each price segment in each area. Keep in mind that these graphs are all sorted by volume. So for example, for all regions, the $300,000 to $400,000 range has 137 listings and it is the largest bar. In the north, the $300,000 to $400,000 range has 73 listings and is the largest bar. But in the South, the $300,000 to $400,000 range is not the most active price segment and only has 5 listings. And here's another way of looking at the price distribution. You can look at each region and see which price segment has the most listings. You can also see how many listings there are in each price segment, both for the north, middle south, and for the southern region. Now we come to new listings and pending home sales. Perhaps recently the most interesting of the graphs we've been following. What you see here is that this week there are 28 new listings compared to 22 last week and compared to 35 new listings the same week a year ago. The number of homes going pending was 20, down from the 28 that went pending the same week a year ago. Looking at this graph, it does appear that last year pending home sales rallied from about 20 per week to close to 40 per week around this time period. Let's hope we see that again this year. This is the chart that we came up with that caused such anguish when we first noticed it. This is a measure of how many new properties are entering the market as new listings and how many properties are leaving the market as pending home sales. Gives us a snapshot every 7 days as to how much new supply there is and how much supply is being taken off the market. We did bounce very slightly this week, but as you notice, the number of new listings continues to exceed the number of pending home sales. And for as long as the number of new listings is exceeding the number of pending home sales, you would expect the market to be weak due to the increase in listings. We're going to take a deeper look at the trend in the pending per square foot prices before we take a look at the individual regions of the villages. Median price per square foot for the homes that went pending last week was $258.19, down from the $271.13, but still higher than the $246.18 that we saw the same week a year ago. Keep in mind, whenever you see a graph that says a 4-week average, the graph itself represents a smooth 4-week average, but the data points highlighted are weekly numbers. Here's a trend as to how long homes that went pending were on the market before going pending, and last week it was a median 47 days, up dramatically from the 18 days of the previous week and higher than the 33 days of the same period a year ago. We are looking at a smooth 4-week graph, but one would hope we don't see higher than 45 days for long. Here's our last look at pending home sales before we look at the regional breakdown. This shows us the median price change for the homes that went pending last week. It was a reduction of 3.82% from the original listing price, worse than the 2.32% reduction that was in effect the previous week, but markedly improved from the 7.77% reduction that was in effect the same week a year ago. Here's our regional breakdown on the pending home sales, where you can see how many homes went pending in each region, what the median size of the homes were that went pending, and what the median price was. So, for example, in the villages entirely, there were 100 listings that went pending. This is over the last 60 days. Whenever you see graphs that have this appearance, we're looking at 60 days worth of data. The other graphs are representing 7 days worth of data. 100 total properties in the villages went pending over the last 60 days. Median size was 1,536 square feet, and the median price was $385,000. On the graphs and data tables to the left, you can see what those figures were for each of the 4 areas of the villages. Now we'll take a look at the homes that sold and closed last week. They numbered 28, up from the 14 of the previous week and up from the 22 of the same week a year ago. It is disturbing, though, that this graph certainly appears to be heading lower. Prices for the homes that closed last week ranged from $210,000 to $640,000. It's interesting to note, and I did forget to mention that there was a home that went pending last week after 346 days on the market. But I thought the most interesting thing about it was that for those entire 346 days, the asking price was unchanged at $315,000. Here's our graph showing the trend of sales price per square foot. Last week, 257 a foot, down from the 259 of the previous week, up very slightly from the 251 of the same week a year ago. And this shows us what the median time on the market was for the homes that sold last week, 33 days, little change from the 34 days of the previous week, but still showing an improvement from the 41 days median time on the market for homes that closed a year ago. Another look at sales trends. Here we're looking at what percentage, what number of homes that sold were taken off the market within 7 days of being listed. 6 of the 28 homes that closed last week met that criteria, 21%, down from the 36% of the week before. And here we take a look at the sales, but broken down by region. And you can see how many sales there were in each region. Once again, this represents the prior 60 days. There were 223 homes closing over that period. In the north, 110 with a median size of 1392 and a median price of $335,000. In the south, 19 homes closed over the last 60 days, median size 1696 square feet and $454,000, the median price. Here you can see how active each region is by price segment. All regions represents all 4 regions of the villages. You can see in the north, middle, south, and south how many properties sold over the last 60 days in each of the price segments. And our last perspective on sales by price distribution. You can see which price segments are most active in which regions of the villages, and you can see which regions of the villages are most active themselves. This is also an interesting perspective. This shows us the median listing time on the market for listings. So, for example, for the entirety of the villages, the median listing time is 46 days, and there are 52 properties that are 100 days on the market or longer. In the north, the median listing time is 68 days on the market. In the south, it's 49 days. In the north, there are 32 homes that have been on the market for 100 days or longer. In the south, there are none. Here are 2 graphs we've been following for a while. This shows us what percentage of all listings have decreased their asking price from the original listing price. It has increased this week to almost 53% of listings having reduced their asking price compared to barely more than 50% last week. And we are higher again than the percentage that had reduced their asking price the same week a year ago. The silver lining to the cloud, though, is the percentage of decrease, which, as you can see from this graph, has been continuing to decrease. In other words, the price reductions on homes have become smaller and smaller through time. Last week, the median reduction for all listings in the villages was a reduction of 3.82%, identical to the reduction of the previous week, and an improvement from the 455 reduction of the same week a year ago. So that concludes this week's look at the village's real estate market. If you would like in-depth research done on a property or area of interest to you in the villages, please reach out to us. We're always happy to help. We're always happy to research and investigate ideas or questions. Whether you reach out to us through Gmail at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com, or whether you reach out through the comments to this video, we'll try to respond in either case. And if you are, and we'd like to reiterate one more time that if you are interested in buying a home in the villages and are trying to get a good deal, or you're interested in selling your home in the villages and are trying to maximize your return in a reasonable period of time, please reach out to me at DavidisinFlorida@gmail.com. Be happy to answer any questions you have. Take care.